Hello, gorgeous souls. I'm Ananda, the Galactic Mystic, and this is Navigational Astrology, where we are navigating the leading edge of consciousness, and it's the Autumn Equinox. Let's talk about this. So as of September 22nd, 2021 at 3:20 p.m. Eastern Time, it is now fall. And I don't know what you and your family are doing, but we have decided to go ahead and put all of our Halloween decorations up. We are just a fall-loving family. There's something about the change of seasons that cardinal energy of the change of seasons that just enlivens me. So the tarot, the major arcana tarot card for this fall, for the entire period of time from now until the winter solstice, the tarot card is the Hermit, which is, of course, the tarot card for Virgo. Now, isn't that interesting? I particularly like this version of the Hermit from the, what deck is this? The Tarot of the Celtic Fairies. This, of course, is, well, I don't know why I said of course, it may not be obvious. This is Saint Mergen or Mergen. I'm actually not sure of the pronunciation. I tend to mispronounce words a lot. But it is, she is an actual saint. She was reported to be a mermaid. And this is, of course, a connection to Morgan Le Fay. I just love this card. There's so much here. This particular representation to me embodies the complete axis that is Virgo and Pisces together. The solitude, the seeking, the inner wisdom, the looking within. This is the fool who is the child become wise through much experience, through much study, through much self-reflection. And this is our overarching theme for this fall, this looking within, this Virgo energy. Here we have the chart for the equinox, and this will be the chart that gives us sort of the overall picture for the entire period of time that is the season of fall. The sun is at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Libra. This is the most assertive, the most cardinal, the most intense degree of Libra. Libra is a cardinal sign anyway, and this is the birth screams, the first breath of air, the emergence from the birth canal, Libra energy. When consciousness comes to Libra, we must understand the mastery of Virgo, which is how we got here to Libra. And mastery of Virgo is, of course, that Hermit energy that we just talked about. It is, consciousness is tired. We're tired of the constant striving, the constant self-excavating, Virgo has dual vision, this pull forward, which I tell you, it's exhausting, right? It's tiresome to be always improving, which is what Virgo is about, to constantly become more pure. And I don't mean pure by, I don't mean like chaste or virginal or anything like that. To be pure means to be utterly free, utterly untethered, to be owned by nothing but yourself, your pure essence. That's the purity that Virgo is seeking. And the only way to get there is through its work. So when we get to Libra, when we get to 0 degrees of Libra, we have completed the transformation of that Virgo journey, that hermit, inward looking refinement. And when we get to Libra, consciousness wants peace, balance, harmony, justice, understanding that there is no light without dark, there is no dark without light. It is both duality and non-duality, because if we have duality, but they are in balance, it is the same as non-duality. This is the inner marriage, the divine union between sacred partners and the sacred marriage within. It is all of this. This is the time of reaping what we sow. The goddess Ma'at, who I talked about in the video that I did on the Mars, Mercury, Sun, the Sun, Mercury, Mars conjunction happening in October. There's a connection here because the scales, the Libra scales of balance and justice, are the scales of Ma'at, the scales that you are judged upon, or that we judge ourselves upon. I don't believe that there is actual judgment beyond self-judgment. This is where our heart is weighed against a feather. And if our heart is heavier than a feather, then, we don't gain entry to where we're trying to go. How do we lighten our heart? How do we pass the tests of Ma'at? In ancient Egypt, there were the 42 laws of Ma'at. Ma'at was designed to avoid chaos and to maintain truth, which is what Ma'at means. This is, an aspect of this is also about maintaining order, which, has a different kind of spin, a little bit of a shadowy type of energy, doesn't it? Every zodiacal sign, every planet, everything has a dual nature, even the scales of truth, the energy of Libra. A lot of the principles of Ma'at are things that we are familiar with. Things like, I have not told lies, I have not stolen, I have not committed adultery. But there are other ones that are rather interesting. Things like, I have not felt sorrow for no reason. I have not polluted myself. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not acted hastily or without thought. Now, some of those are very precise. They're very detailed. And the reason I'm bringing these up is because these little things, these little, emotional, the ways that we behave emotionally, this is how our hearts become heavy. And this is the ask of this period of time. We have an Aries moon, and it is in the 3rd house. So this has me thinking that Our consciousness will be set on justice, balance, and truth. But emotionally, we're going to be feeling a little spicy. This is the emotional warrior. An emotional warrior. What does that even mean? An emotional warrior. Well, for one thing, in order to be a warrior of any kind, if you want to survive the battle, you have to know which battles to fight. You have to be able to see your battlefield and know where you can be the most effective. And in the third house with Aries, this is through being bold in our thinking. It's in the third house, so it's also about communicating. But we want to temper this with Libra. You know, this is the Libra Aries axis, the axis of relating. So how we are relating to one another is going to be very, very important. Mercury is conjunct Arcturus and Spica. So this is really bringing in a high level of spiritual wisdom that is available. And if we can temper our emotional warrior nature with the energy of Arcturus and Spica and this maturity, then we will be coming from a place that is of benefit. So one of the really big themes in all of this is about divine feminine and divine masculine. Now, when I say these things, divine feminine and divine masculine, when they're coming from me, I need you to know that I do not mean these as in connection to your gender, to your body. That's my husband texting me from work. I forgot to silence that. I don't mean it like that. We all have divine feminine and divine masculine within us. And the inner marriage of those energies is crucial to your spiritual evolution, to your sanity, to everything that we're supposed to be doing here. So within this chart, the moon is in a 16th harmonic vibration with Venus. And this brings to light how important our family, our close partnered relationships, our closest personal relationships. There is a sentimentality here that is crucial to our guidance system during this period of time. And honestly, maintaining harmony in your home for the fall, and I mean, honestly, always, but the guidance here is clear. Maintaining harmony at home is very, very important. Any disruptions, in your home are going to be it's going to make life much more difficult. So let's bring a domestic focus. The sun is in a biquintile with Jupiter, and this is asking us to take time to have fun, to play, to let out our inner child, to be creative, finger paint, like blow bubbles, do kid things. Like I'm a big kid at heart. One of the reasons why I can't wait to put my Halloween decorations up is because it brings out my inner child. I am always ready to do some kid stuff, to play hopscotch, to do cartwheels, spin in a circle, all of that. We're going to need that. It's going to help us stay sane. And in this childlike energy, do your best to maintain an optimistic view. listen, what's happening on in the outside world is not necessarily indicative. Well, let me rephrase that. What appears to be happening may not necessarily be what's happening. Watch for things that trigger your emotions and then question, is this true? You know what I mean? We have to be disciplined in the information we're consuming and where we're putting our energy. And in that, along that line, I want to bring back the chart because, hold on. I want to bring back this chart because over here, I want you to see this. The part of spirit is at 19 degrees of Gemini. This is conjunct fixed star Nihal. This is a very clear bugle call, wake up call to the light workers. And it is giving specific instructions. And those instructions are to not play the game. Withdraw your divine sacred energy from the paradigm. Just withdraw it. Do not feed the duality. Don't feed the narratives. Take the emotional warrior part of you and bring it home. Focus on your family if you need something to do. Focus on your self-mastery if you feel drawn to get involved in, things that may be a big waste of your time at best. I want to share something interesting with you about the Hermit tarot card. So in the Tree of Life, the Hermit tarot card is represented by a certain pathway. And the simple Hebrew letter associated with this pathway on the Tree of Life is the letter for sexual union. And it may seem weird to think of the Hermit as a card of divine union, but it is, of course, not necessarily sexual union, as it is divine union. And when I say divine union, I hope you know that I mean, yes, within, feminine, masculine union within. And then, of course, that there is the relationship sacred union component where we get to enjoy that in life, in physical form. But the inner marriage is really the calling. That is that lamplight. That is that inner wisdom, that knowing where, there is no shadow without light, and there is no light without shadow. This balance of duality, which then becomes non-duality within. The last couple things I wanted to share with you about this equinox chart has to do with a couple really interesting midpoint structures in the chart. Now, midpoint structures are kind of like if two planets had a baby, it would be the midpoint. It's the exact point in between two planets or points in the chart. And in this equinox chart, we have Mercury exactly at the Venus-Mars midpoint. And this is a literal perfect example of a sacred union contract. For, of course, mean both esoteric, spiritual within, and in our actual lives. So this is just another way that theme is repeating throughout this chart. Today is the day of equal light and equal dark. And we are to carry this energy throughout the season as we balance our inner world, ground into our spiritual practice, thanks to the Pisces full moon, and nurture our home and our family and our inner connection with our own masculine and feminine divine aspects. Doing all of that, we'll be doing everything that we can to help humanity to be sane, to be a sane voice in a sea of crazy. And when I say crazy, I don't mean crazy. I mean the things that we do and the ways that we act when we are unconscious. We want to be conscious and present. The time is now. All right, lightworkers. Thank you for listening. What do you think? How does this resonate? Are you feeling these energies? Thank you for liking and subscribing, and come back every day and let's hang out. Let's do dailies together.